passes amended National Minimum Wage Act into law. Reps adjust 2024 budget from 28.7 trillion naira to 35.5 trillion naira. And CBN raises interest rate again to 26.75% amid soaring inflation. Welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Simisola Achikun. Following months of difficult negotiations between labor unions and the federal government, the Nigerian Senate has approved a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira for workers, awaiting the final assent from President Bola Tinubu to become effective. This passage comes after the president separately had written to the Senate and the House of Representatives requesting expeditious consideration of a bill for an act to amend the National Minimum Wage Act of 2019 to increase the national minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. The president also asked the lawmakers to reduce the time for a periodic review of the national minimum wage from 5 years to 3 years and related matters. TV360's Falasha Deolushegun files the report from Abuja.
The National Minimum Wage Bill, which saw swift progression through its first, second, and third readings shortly after being transmitted by President Tinubu, was promptly passed by upper chamber. Senate leader Okoyemi Bamidele led the debate on the bill, highlighting that 70,000 naira figure was reached through negotiations involving all relevant parties.
In response to the agitations and after a series of negotiations between the federal government and the organized labor, the current national minimum wage of 30,000 naira only has been reviewed upward to the sum of 70,000 naira only. This is part of the federal government's short-term measures to mitigate the situation in the country, as efforts are being made to bring about long-term solutions that would align with the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians and bring succor to the country generally.
The Chief Whip, Tahir Mogunu, emphasized the necessity of updating the minimum wage to reflect current economic conditions.
The minimum wage from 30,000 to 70,000 is equally very germane and apt, especially against the backdrop of the effect of the removal of subsidy, which has brought about a corresponding increase in the prices of goods and services. So there is a need to review the minimum wage to bring it in tandem with realities that is prevalent in the society. So I support the second reading of this bill against the background of the arguments that I have made.
The bill received unanimous approval after a clause-by-clause consideration in the Committee of the Whole, marking its successful third reading and passage.
A bill for an act to amend the National Minimum Wage Act 2019 and to increase the national minimum wage and reduce the time for periodic review of the national minimum wage from 5 years to 3 years and for related matters 2024. Third reading. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the National Minimum Wage Act 2019 to increase the national minimum wage from 30,000 to 70,000 and to reduce the time for periodic review of the national minimum wage from 5 years to 3 years and for related matters 2024. Third reading taken and passed.
The transmission of the wage bill came about 6 weeks after the president announced in his Democracy Day speech on June 12, 2024, that an executive bill on the new national minimum wage for workers will be sent to the National Assembly for passage. Additionally, the period for reviewing the minimum wage has been shortened from 5 years to 3 years. For Lashade Olusegun, reporting for TV360 Abuja.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed the amended 2024 budget at 35.5 trillion naira, showing an increase from the 28.7 trillion naira initial budget. Last Wednesday, President Bola Tinubu had requested the Senate to amend the 2024 Appropriation Act and the 2023 Finance Act by increasing the budget with 6.2 trillion naira. He explained that this was to fund capital infrastructure, development, education, healthcare access, and public welfare initiatives. According to the President, all of the projects are essential components of the renewed hope agenda of his administration. Amid calls by the federal government to citizens to shelve a planned hardship protest in the country, the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS Lagos Axis, has announced intentions to hold a solidarity walk from August 1 to 10th, 2024, which coincides with the dates for the action. The chairman of NANS Lagos Axis, Alimi Idris, disclosed this during a joint meeting on Tuesday with student leaders across tertiary institutions in the state. Addressing journalists, Idris lauded the efforts of the Lagos State government in the area of development and youth welfare, while highlighting the importance of peace, stability, and constructive dialogue in achieving collective goals.
In these trying times, it is crucial we remember the importance of stability, peace, and constructive dialogue in achieving our collective goals. Given these significant contributions and the progress we have witnessed, we strongly state that we are not in support of any protest against the government of Lagos. We understand the frustrations and challenges faced by many, but we must also recognize the advancements and opportunities that have been provided to cushion the economic effects of the nation, and we hope other states can emulate the Lagos State government. I would like to take this opportunity to remind His Excellency of 3 key initiatives that we presented during our interactive session. The Save Lagos, that is the Students Against Violence Everywhere in Lagos proposal. The BSc, that is the Beyond School Certificate program. And the Intercampus Debate Initiative. We believe that this initiative has the potential to drive positive change, promote critical thinking, and foster a culture of intellectual discourse among students in Lagos. We look forward to seeing progress on these initiatives and working together to bring them to fruition. We cannot afford to let the destructive events of the past, such as the EndSARS protests, repeat themselves. Our priority is to defend and preserve the peace and prosperity of Lagos. We urge all students to channel their energies into constructive dialogue and positive action, such as volunteering for community development projects, participating in students' government initiatives, and engaging in academic and extracurricular activities that promote excellence.
Amid the ongoing feud between the Nigerian National Petroleum Company NNPC Limited and the Dangote Refinery, the House of Representatives has begun to investigate allegations that products being produced at the Dangote Refinery are inferior to imported ones, and will also test the refinery's products as part of its investigations. Over the weekend, the Speaker of the House led other lawmakers to a tour of the refinery, where they were conducted around the facility by the president of the Dangote conglomerate, Aliko Dangote. The lawmakers have also vowed to come tough on economic saboteurs in the petroleum industry. This next report provides details. The resolve by Aliko Dangote to give up ownership of his multi-billion-dollar 650,000 barrels per day oil refinery to state-owned energy company NNPC Limited has attracted the attention of citizens to the latest phase of the bitter row with regulatory authorities in Nigeria. Despite being touted as a game-changer that would end the oil-rich country's dependence on imported petrol, the $20 billion facility got off to a slow start, constrained in part by difficulties in sourcing crude from international producers. Dangote Refinery accused the companies of either demanding outrageous premiums before agreeing to supply crude or simply claiming the product is unavailable. This statement drew a reprisal from the main watchdog of Nigeria's midstream and downstream operations, whose chief, Farouk Ahmed, accused local refineries, including the Dangote Refinery, of producing inferior products compared to the ones imported into the country. The oil regulator also accused Dangote of plans to monopolize the sector. These accusations and counter-accusations prompted lawmakers to conduct an investigation into the alleged importation of contaminated fuel into the country.
We are committed to transparency, thoroughness, and accountability throughout this process that will help us to identify and resolve the underlying issue plaguing Nigerian petroleum sector. The committee is also urging stakeholders in the current dispute to de-escalate tension as the committee embarks on the great task of resolving the issue.
A comprehensive forensic legislative investigation into the several critical areas, including but not restricted. 1. The importation and production of substandard petroleum products, the availability of good and quality crude oil supply to domestic refineries. 3. The enforcement of regulatory standards by bodies such as the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, the NMDPRA.
Speaking after a familiarization visit to the Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals Company in Lagos, Dangote denied both claims and openly challenged the regulator to compare the quality of refined products from his refinery with those imported.
The chairman downstream of the House and the chairman midstream of the House went with our people to pick up a hot sample. They brought, you've tested, and you've seen where we are. So we want to clear that, yes, we produce the best diesel in Nigeria. Even at the 650 ppm and 700 ppm that we are producing was a better quality than what was, imported.
There is a structure we have in running our business in Dangote. And that structure is that our financing structure is very clear. We do not borrow money against future projects. Basically what I'm saying, we do not do project financing for all our activities. What we basically do is to borrow money against existing operations of our business. And those ones who fund that project.
Briefing Newsman, the Vice President, Dangote Industries Limited, provided further details of the capacity and state of preparedness of the refinery.
They give section-wise readiness, and when 100% is ready, then they'll give the license to operate. As you have seen today, the petrochemical section, it is under commissioning. The refinery side, we have already started the production. And also, as you know, every single cargo of petroleum product going out of this refinery has to be certified by NMDPRA. I cannot sell either locally or overseas without their approval.
PMS was supposed to be out by this July, but we had the fire incident. The incident that we have, actually disrupted us for a few days, but by latest 10th or 12th of August, PMS will be ready.
This second visit by the federal lawmakers to the refinery in 2 months comes at a crucial time as it is scheduled to begin the supply of petrol next month. The House of Representatives says it has since begun the investigation into allegations of the quality of petroleum products being imported into the country. Simisola Adigun, TV 360 News. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has apologized to Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan for his recent comments during plenary on Tuesday, July 18, when Akpoti-Uduaghan, a co-sponsor of the National Road Transport Council bill, rose to speak in its favor without the Senate President's permission. Displeased with her interjection, Senator Akpabio reminded the lawmaker that the chamber is not a nightclub. Senator Akpabio's remarks sparked off negative reactions on social media, with some Nigerians describing him as biased against women. Speaking during Tuesday's plenary, the Senate President openly apologized to the Kogi Central lawmaker, adding that in spite of the negative reports from social media, the 10th National Assembly will not be forced to make laws against its operation.
For me, there is nothing I will say that will not be misunderstood. But the interest generated in the social media, people jumped in, shows that you have a lot of political enemies. It also shows that I do have enemies. All of us here contested elections with people. So whenever those people think that they are being brought down, they will jump up and they will say all sort of things. I noticed even some of them that could not pass through Senate screenings went into the fray and abused the Senate president, abused you and all that. I don't know how you took it, but I felt that I should tender a public apology to you over the miscommunication and the misunderstanding. So do accept my apologies and my colleagues for anybody who could have felt to not mean any harm, and I did not mean what they are misinterpreting in the social media. And I hope this will come to an end and people should concentrate on. So I hope the apology is accepted.
The House of Representatives Committee on Commerce has urged the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency and the Nigeria Export Promotion Council to resolve their dispute over unpaid 10% freight levies due to NEPC since 1979. Executive Director of the NEPC, Noye Ayeni, had insisted that the National Assembly's Act compels NIMASA to fund the council, noting that the refusal of NIMASA to remit the 10% levy has greatly hindered the operations of the NEPC, while NIMASA's representative Chude Ofodile argued that the act establishing NIMASA does not explicitly require the agency to remit funds to the NEPC. Chairman of the committee, Ahmed Munir, pleaded for understanding between both parties as they stuck to their positions, citing different interpretations of the relevant acts. Earlier in his remarks, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, represented by the House Leader, Julius Nhobere, directed the agencies to find common ground to resolve the impasse, emphasizing the need for synergy among government agencies to achieve economic prosperity.
The essence of this gathering is for us all to find the truth and also a lasting solution to this lingering issue. A few days ago, the committee had a public hearing where some bills were looked into by Nigerians to either strengthen the existing laws or enact a new one. We would like you also, in the course of this, to lay bare what the challenges are so that the gray areas can be strengthened.
We have tried severally. There's been several letters. There was even a time that the Attorney General called for a meeting of Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, NIMASA, NEPC, as well as Ministry of Transport, just to ensure that these funds are released, knowing the importance of what these funds would do for the economy. Again, all of these have been deferred. Over these years, my predecessors have made several efforts, written to Ministry of Finance, written to everyone that cares to hear, so that we'll get these funds, but nothing still happened.
This event, however, reminds us of the importance of interagency synergy, collaboration and partnership in the running of government activities. There is need for agencies of government to work together to promote economic development. After all, it is one government and one purpose: to build a nation and provide good governance. To avert conflicts of this nature, MDS must demonstrate high level of accountability, transparency, and openness.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, world record holder Tobi Amusan named Nigeria's flag bearer for Paris 2024 Olympics. We'll give you details when News Now returns. Welcome back. Here's a recap of our top stories. Following months of difficult negotiations between labor unions and the federal government, the Nigerian Senate has approved a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira for workers, awaiting the final assent from President Bola Tinubu to become effective. This passage comes after the President separately had written to the Senate and the House of Representatives requesting expeditious consideration of the bill. for an act to amend the National Minimum Wage Act 2019 to increase the national minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. The president also asked lawmakers to reduce the time for periodic review of the national minimum wage from 5 years to 3 and related matters. We also told you that the House of Representatives has passed the amended 2024 budget at 35.5 trillion naira, showing an increase from the 28.7 trillion naira initial budget. Last Wednesday, President Bola Tinubu had requested the Senate to amend the 2024 Appropriation Act and the 2023 Finance Act by increasing the budget with 6.2 trillion naira. He explained that this was to fund capital infrastructure development, education, healthcare access, and public awareness initiatives. According to the president, all the projects are essential components of the renewed hope agenda of this administration. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Well, let's join Joy Uchejim, who has the latest in the world of business. What's going on, Joy?
Thank you, Simi, and welcome to Business News. The Central Bank of Nigeria Monetary Policy Committee has again increased the monetary policy rate from 26.25% to 26.75% to tame inflation. Now, the governor of the Apex Bank, Olayemi Cardoso, announced the rate adjustment on Tuesday at the end of the committee's 296th meeting in Abuja. It's the fourth consecutive rate hike by the CBN as it struggles to tame inflation levels pegged at 34.19% in June 2024 amid soaring food prices. TV360's Okpeyemi Owusheni has more on the story.
With inflation still on the rise and food inflation reaching 40%, there had been speculations that the Central Bank Monetary Policy Committee may tighten further after doing so 3 consecutive times before this latest meeting. And that's exactly what played when the CBN governor announced the decision of the 296th MPC meeting.
It re-emphasized its commitment to the bank's price stability mandate and remained optimistic that despite the June 2024 uptick in headline inflation, prices are expected to moderate in the near term. This is hinged on monetary policy gaining further traction in addition to recent measures by the fiscal authority to address food inflation.
The CBN chief also noted food inflation and FX challenges as factors undermining price stability and part of the reasons for the decision to raise rates yet again.
We notice the moves by the fiscal side to help taking on certain policies that are helping to moderate food inflation, and we very much are encouraged by that. Exchange rate has converged, limiting the opportunities for arbitrage. This is very important. Inflows have increased from 37.93% between January and May in 2024 to 38.8%, I beg your pardon, to 38.8 billion.
The decision will surely not go down well with local manufacturers and the business community in the country, who have been critical of the continuous rate hike and argue that it has failed to bring down inflation. The CBN, however, assured that inflation will be brought under control in the shortest time.
We understand the need for growth, and we also understand that it is it is relatively challenging when you have high interest rates. We also understand that. And quite frankly, my belief is that it is so fundamental to the long-term future and stability of our economy.
The latest benchmark rate hike will trigger higher interest rates by commercial banks, something the Nigerian business community has long complained about. Okpayemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.
We'll take a short break and return with stock market reports. Welcome back. Nigeria's equities market on Tuesday failed to sustain its positive start to this week as stock investors continue to price in the outcome of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, where the Central Bank of Nigeria further wrapped up tightening measures to rein in inflation. Now, on the losing side, University Press came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 9.92% at 2 naira 27 kobo, while John Holt followed at 2 naira 28 kobo. Now, at the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, over 280 million shares in 8,403 deals, corresponding to a market value of 3.6 billion naira, were traded. Now, it's an even worse trading session when compared with Monday's slow trade. That's because Tuesday's trade shows 16% decline in volume, 2% decline in turnover, and 4% decline in deals. Now, looking at the foreign scene is the same sorry tale for our select global equities, as U.S. yields dropped on Tuesday because markets eyed upcoming economic data, as well as a plethora of corporate earnings, brushing aside the political fallout from President Joe Biden's decision to end his re-election bid. Now, switching gears to the forex scene, the naira dipped further to trade at 1,590 naira to a dollar on the black market. The British pound traded at 2,060 naira on the black market, and the euros are at 1,700 naira on the black market. That's the world business and stock market reports. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you very much, Joy. On the foreign scene, at least 146 people have been killed in landslides in a remote part of Ethiopia that has been hit with heavy rainfall. The head of the Gofa Zone Communications Office, Kashaun Abeni, says the death toll rose from 55 late on Monday to 146 on Tuesday as search operations continued in the area. According to local authorities, young children and pregnant women were among the victims of the landslides in the Kencho Chasa Godzi district of southern Ethiopia. And in sports, ahead of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games opening ceremony on Friday, July 26th, the Nigerian Olympic Committee, NOC, in collaboration with the Sports Ministry, has selected world record holder Toby Amusan as the country's flag bearer for the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games. This appointment marks a historic moment for Nigerian athletes as Amusan becomes the first track and field athlete in 2 decades to receive this honor. The recognition comes as a testament to her achievement and her status as one of Nigeria's most prominent athletes on the global stage. Well, that's it on News Now. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you again next time.